Long ago, under the golden sun of Greece, there was a city that changed the world forever. A city of thinkers, dreamers, artists, and warriors. That city was Athens. Imagine walking through its stone streets many centuries ago. The sound of sandals touching marble roads. The smell of olive trees moving with the wind. The voices of merchants in busy markets. And above the city, standing proudly on the hill, the great Acropolis of Athens watching over everyone like a silent guardian. This was not just a city. It was the heart of knowledge. During the Middle Ages, and even before that, Athens carried the spirit of ancient wisdom. Many travelers who arrived there felt they had entered a magical place. A place where every building had a story and every stone remembered history. The people of Athens loved learning. They believed that the mind was the greatest treasure a human could have. In small schools, under open skies, teachers spoke about philosophy, science, mathematics, and the meaning of life. And among these teachers were some of the greatest minds the world has ever known. There was Socrates, the old philosopher who walked through the streets asking difficult questions. He did not care about riches or power. He wanted people to think deeply. He would stop strangers in the market and ask them simple but powerful questions. What is justice? What is truth? What makes a good person? Many people laughed at him. Others feared him. But many listened carefully because they knew he carried wisdom. Then came Plato, his student. Plato created one of the first great schools in history. Students came from far lands to study in his academy. They studied the stars, numbers, politics, and philosophy. And after Plato came Aristotle, a man whose ideas would later shape science and education across the world. He studied nature, animals, governments, and human behavior. His curiosity had no limits. The spirit of learning never truly disappeared from Athens. Even during difficult times in the Middle Ages, the city remained connected to knowledge and culture. Travelers from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East spoke about Athens with admiration. At night, oil lamps glowed inside homes and schools while scholars copied books by hand. Every page was precious. Knowledge was treated like gold. The architecture of Athens was another wonder. The city was filled with temples, arches, stone theaters, and tall columns reaching toward the sky. Builders worked carefully with marble, shaping beauty from stone. Even today, people look at those buildings with amazement. The greatest symbol of Athens was the Parthenon, standing proudly on the Acropolis hill. It was built to honor the goddess Athena, protector of the city. People believed Athena gave wisdom, courage, and skill to the people of Athens. Legends said she defeated Poseidon in a contest for the city by giving the people the olive tree, a gift of peace and life. And everywhere in Athens, olive trees grew under the warm Mediterranean sun. But Athens was not only about scholars and buildings. It was alive with ordinary people. The markets were full of color and noise. Fishermen brought fresh fish from the sea. Bakers sold warm bread. Artists painted pottery with stories of heroes and gods. Children ran through the streets laughing and playing games with stones and wooden toys. Mothers carried water in clay jars while fathers worked as craftsmen, sailors, soldiers, or merchants. Life was not always easy. Wars, disease, and poverty sometimes touched the city. But the people of Athens were strong. They believed in community, family, and pride in their culture. And then there was the sea. The blue waters near Athens connected the city to the world. Ships arrived from distant lands carrying silk, spices, ideas, and stories. The ports were full of sailors speaking many languages. The sea gave Athens power. It helped the city grow rich and important. Through trade and travel, Athens became connected to Egypt, Rome, Persia, and many other civilizations. But beyond the sea stood the mountains. Tall mountains surrounded the region like giant walls of stone. They protected the city and gave it dramatic beauty. Travelers climbing the hills could look down and see white buildings shining beside the deep blue sea. At sunrise, Athens looked like a city from a dream. The people celebrated festivals with music and dance. Actors performed stories in open-air theaters where thousands gathered to watch dramas and comedies. The theater was sacred in Athens. Stories were not only entertainment. They were lessons about life, honor, love, and destiny. Even now, centuries later, the voice of Athens still speaks to the world. It speaks through philosophy, through democracy, through art, through science, and through the idea that human beings should never stop asking questions. Athens was more than an ancient city. It was a light in the darkness, a place where wisdom was born, and its story was only beginning. When the morning sun rose over Athens, the city slowly awakened. The streets filled with life. Merchants opened their small shops. Farmers arrived with baskets full of olives, grapes, figs, and vegetables. The smell of bread drifted through the air as bakers prepared food for hungry travelers. The city was always moving. In the center of Athens stood the Agora, the great marketplace. But it was more than a market. It was the heart of public life. People gathered there to trade goods, discuss politics, tell stories, and debate ideas. If you stood quietly in the Agora, you could hear many voices at once. A philosopher teaching students, a merchant shouting prices, children laughing, musicians playing soft melodies. Athens felt alive every second. Men in the city often worked as builders, soldiers, sailors, artists, or traders. Some spent years traveling across the Mediterranean Sea. They returned with stories from Egypt, Asia, and distant islands. The sailors of Athens were respected because the sea was dangerous. Storms could destroy ships in moments. Pirates attacked travelers. But the Athenians were brave and skilled at navigation. Women in Athens played an important role inside the family and community. They cared for children, prepared food, created clothing, and protected traditions. Some women were educated and respected for their intelligence, especially in noble families. In religious festivals, women participated in sacred ceremonies honoring the gods and goddesses. Music, dance, and prayer filled the streets during these celebrations. Children grew up surrounded by stories of heroes and legends. They heard tales of Achilles, Hercules, and Odysseus. These stories taught courage, loyalty, and wisdom. Boys often studied reading, writing, and physical training. Girls learned skills important for family life and culture. But education in Athens was different from many other places in the world. The Athenians believed education should shape both the mind and the soul. Students did not only memorize facts. They learned how to think. Teachers encouraged questions and discussions. Why does justice matter? What makes a leader good? How should humans live? These questions shaped Athenian culture for centuries. One of the most important ideas born in Athens was democracy. For the first time in history, many citizens could participate in government decisions. People gathered to vote, debate laws, and speak publicly. This idea later influenced governments around the world. Of course, ancient democracy was not perfect. Not everyone had equal rights. But the idea itself changed human history forever. Athens also became famous for its art. Artists painted beautiful pottery showing battles, myths, and daily life. Sculptors carved marble statues so realistic they almost looked alive. The human body was admired as something beautiful and powerful. Statues showed strength, balance, and harmony. The builders of Athens created structures that amazed travelers from every land. Massive columns supported temples built from shining marble. Even today, architects study the buildings of Athens to learn their secrets. The Parthenon remained the crown of the city. Standing high above Athens, it symbolized intelligence, beauty, and strength. During sunset, the marble glowed golden under the fading light. Many travelers described it as one of the wonders of the world. But Athens was not only stone and philosophy. Nature surrounded the city with incredible beauty. The beaches near Athens were peaceful and bright. Fishermen repaired nets beside the water while children played near the waves. The sea sparkled like glass under the sun. People swam, sailed, and relaxed beside the coast. The Mediterranean climate gave Athens warm summers and gentle winters, making life near the sea enjoyable. And beyond the beaches stood the mountains. The hills and mountains around Athens offered protection and breathtaking views. Shepherds guided goats along rocky paths, while eagles flew high above the cliffs. At night, under clear skies full of stars, philosophers often studied the heavens. They wondered about the universe. What are stars made of? Why does the moon change shape? How large is the world? Athens encouraged curiosity about everything. Medicine also grew in importance. Early doctors studied the human body and searched for ways to heal illness. Observing nature carefully became part of science and philosophy. Libraries slowly filled with scrolls and books copied by hand. Every manuscript carried knowledge from one generation to another. Many centuries later, Europe would rediscover ancient Greek knowledge and begin the Renaissance, a rebirth of science, art, and philosophy inspired partly by Athens. Even during difficult periods of invasion and political change, the spirit of the city survived. Empires rose and fell around Athens. Romans arrived. Byzantines ruled. Ottomans later controlled the region. But Athens never completely lost its identity. Its ruins still whispered stories from the past. Travelers continued visiting the ancient temples and theaters. They walked among broken columns, imagining the greatness of earlier centuries. For many people, Athens became a symbol of human intelligence, a symbol of creativity, a symbol of freedom. And although centuries passed, the city continued to inspire poets, scientists, artists, and dreamers around the world. Because Athens taught humanity one important lesson: civilizations become great not only through power or wealth, but through ideas. There are cities that become famous for wealth, others for war, others for kings and empires. But Athens became immortal because of the human mind. Even today, when people walk through the ancient streets of Athens, they feel something special in the air. The city carries the memory of thousands of years. The old stones still speak. The temples still stand. And the spirit of wisdom still lives there. Imagine standing on a hill during sunset, looking at the Acropolis glowing above the city. Below you, modern Athens moves with cars, lights, and crowds. But beside the modern world, ancient history survives. It is like two worlds living together. The people of Athens believed beauty and knowledge were connected. They wanted cities to inspire human beings. This is why they built theaters, temples, schools, and public spaces with great care. Art was everywhere. Music echoed during festivals. Poetry was recited in public gatherings. Actors performed emotional stories before thousands of people. The Athenians believed stories could teach truth. Some stories warned about pride and greed. Others celebrated courage and sacrifice. The theater became one of the greatest cultural gifts Athens gave to the world. And philosophy remained at the center of everything. Thinkers in Athens did not simply accept the world as it was. They challenged ideas constantly. They asked questions about life, justice, love, death, and happiness. Their discussions shaped philosophy for more than 2,000 years. Even modern universities still teach the ideas of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. The educational spirit of Athens later inspired schools and universities across Europe and beyond. The idea that students should think critically, debate openly, and search for truth began largely in this ancient city. In many ways, Athens became the birthplace of intellectual freedom. But daily life also continued with ordinary joys and struggles. Families gathered for meals under warm evening skies. Children played in narrow streets. Sailors prepared ships at the ports. Farmers harvested olives and grapes from nearby lands. Life moved slowly compared to today's fast world. People spent more time speaking face to face. In cafes and public squares, conversations could continue for hours. Hospitality was important in Greek culture. Visitors were often welcomed warmly with food, wine, and stories. Foreign travelers were amazed by the energy of Athens. Some came searching for knowledge. Others came searching for adventure. Many never forgot the city after leaving it. The natural beauty of Athens added to its magic. The mountains surrounding the city created dramatic landscapes of rock and green hills. During spring, wildflowers covered parts of the countryside. The sea remained deeply connected to Athenian life. The ports brought trade, culture, and opportunity. The waves connected Athens to distant civilizations, making it one of the great cultural crossroads of the ancient world. Ships carried not only goods, but also ideas, and ideas were the true power of Athens. Knowledge traveled from Athens into Europe, the Middle East, and beyond. Mathematics, philosophy, architecture, politics, and science all carried the influence of Greek thought. Even today, many words used in science and philosophy come from the Greek language. Athens changed how humanity understood itself. The city taught people to observe nature carefully, to question authority, to search for logic and reason, to value beauty in art and architecture, and to believe that learning never ends. Centuries passed. Wars destroyed buildings. Earthquakes damaged temples. Empires fought over the land. Yet somehow, Athens survived. Its monuments became symbols of human civilization itself. Tourists today climb the Acropolis and stare at the Parthenon with wonder. Scholars continue studying ancient Greek texts. Philosophers still debate ideas first discussed in Athenian streets thousands of years ago. The city refuses to disappear from history because Athens is more than a location on a map. It is an idea, the idea that human beings can rise above fear through knowledge, that wisdom matters more than power, that questions are stronger than silence. And maybe this is why Athens continues to fascinate the world, because deep inside every human heart lives curiosity, the same curiosity that once filled the streets of ancient Athens, the same curiosity that pushed philosophers to study the stars, the same curiosity that inspired artists to carve marble into beauty, the same curiosity that built one of the greatest civilizations in history. As night falls over Athens, the lights of the modern city shine beneath the ancient hill of the Acropolis. The wind moves softly through old ruins, and somewhere in the silence of history, the voices of ancient philosophers still whisper. Never stop searching for wisdom.